Well, the UMA hat is back. That means one thing. The Seattle Kraken are back in the win column. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. Erica L. Ayala here, your host of Locked On Kraken, living over on Blue Sky these days. You can find me at elindsay08 at Blue Sky Social. And I've got the UMA hat on again. I am happy to crush my curls because the Seattle Kraken back in the win column last 24 hours. You can probably even hear it in my voice. Has been a lot. I've done a lot of recording, a lot of pontificating, waxing poetic regarding the Seattle Kraken. But let's talk about this win. Before we do that, though, I want to let you know today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at GameTime. You can download the GameTime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. The Seattle Kraken get a 6-2 win over the San Jose Sharks. Now, this ends a 3-game skid, 2 from this season against San Jose, a divisional opponent, someone who is bottom dwelling with us this season. And this was a big win. Get back into the win column. We were 0 for 2, not anywhere near that 2 of 3, 3 of 4 that Dan Bilesma has been talking about. With the win, we can kind of erase some of our ill will, or our not ill will, but we can erase a little bit of our bad fortune against the Anaheim Ducks the other day because we leapfrogged them. We're at 49 points in the standings. They sit at 48 and the San Jose Sharks at 36, but we're still looking up on Vancouver, 56 points. We're looking up at Calgary, 57 points. We're looking up at LA, 58 points, Vegas, 68 points, and Edmonton also with 68 points. So plenty of work still to do, but this is a start. The amazing Allison Lucan says this was an earned win. The Seattle Kraken 5-on-5 created 53.7% of all shot attempts, resulting in 54.3% in shot quality. And we've been talking about specific lines, the Beniers line at a time, the right line when Yanni Gourde was in the mix in particular. These have been lines that have been carrying the team. Not so much the case this last game. According to Allison Lucan and her instant analysis, all 4 forward lines were in the positive when it came to shot differential. The biggest margin created by the Chandler Stephenson line, along with Ellie Tolvanen and Oliver Bjorkstrand. So Ellie and Ollie back together. They were at a +6. And the trio had the biggest share of shot quality, 77.6% of all expected goals in their 10-16 ice time. 9 scoring chances off of turnovers for the Seattle Kraken. And it was something that Ellie Tolvanen said on the radio broadcast. I was listening to Al and Everett once again, and Ellie Tolvanen talked about being able to play aggressive, have that physicality, and it makes other teams create mistakes. And I think maybe Dan Bilesma mentioned it in the postgame as well. But that was a focus. And again, 9 scoring chances off of turnovers, allowing only 5, and had 9 rush chances while only allowing 3, going back to Allison's instant analysis. And so I love that for the Seattle Kraken, that they're getting back to that kind of game. Just want to go over the lines that we were given, the projected forward lines, which were actually the forward lines. So the Beniers line stayed the same. Beniers centering Jaden Schwartz on the left with Capo Caco on the right. Chandler Stephenson, as I mentioned, had Ellie Tolvanen on the left and Oliver Bjorkstrand this time on the right side. That meant that Burakovsky was on the right side, McCann on the left side on the Shane Wright line, Ty Cartier, Mitchell Stevens, Brandon Tanev on that fourth line. We did get Mahura and Cale Fleury as our third defensive pair because Riker Evans could not go. Mention this. I know I had multiple episodes, especially for you YouTubers on audio. Actually, the Grubauer part 1 and 2 went up today, Friday, for you. But I did mention in one of the in our true episode, our preview of this game, that Riker Evans, dealing with a little bit of an upper body ailment, was considered day to day by Dan Bilesma, so he did not slot in for this game. And of course, we know it was Joey Daccord between the pipes, and he gets a solid win here. A lot going on with the Seattle Kraken. Vince Dunn spoke after the game and mentioned that, yeah, of course, some of what happened with the goaltending was on the mind. He got into a fight, talked about that physicality. He didn't make too much of it, but he did mention something that I loved. He said that something that we know, something that we talk about on the show, that the home record has not been what the Seattle Kraken want it to be. Now, I think he could certainly be talking about this season, but I think just in general, the Seattle Kraken have not had a great home record. That's something that they want to fix on the immediate, but knew that there needed to be some energy, some juice, if you will, some moxie. And a part of the reason that he got into that fight is because, felt that the San Jose Sharks were getting a little too close to Joey Daccord. Mentioned it ad nauseum, arguably, yesterday, that what happens if Joey goes down? Yes, of course, Philip Grubauer would come up from the AHL, but doesn't it concern you that our backup is in the AHL right now? Anyway, I digress. You can listen to all of the other episodes from this week to hear me talk about that. But I loved that this team, yes, they had Philip Grubauer on the mind, but they turned that into good energy and positive momentum, because I was a little bit concerned that maybe it would be too much in their head, but they seem to have locked it down. But as I've said before, can we rely on this? Should I get used to this? And I think this was a solid game, but it's not enough. It's not even enough to take this team, this franchise, out of the doghouse. They have a lot to prove, and they're going to get a chance. They have a couple of days that they had today, Friday, off. They'll hit the ice tomorrow and then get ready for Sunday's game against Calgary. But overall, a solid game. Chandler Stephenson with his 28th and 29th assists. And he passes Vince Dunn for the most in a player's first season with the Seattle Kraken. So there you go. Chandler Stephenson, definitely someone who's been under the microscope. And actually, in our YouTube comments, someone mentioned that he has a no movement clause, and maybe if not for that no movement clause, he would have been made an example of, air quotes, or gotten a air quotes reset, but not available to the front office or coaching staff. So interesting. But we'll take Chandler Stephenson, the producer, as in he's being productive on the ice. Some of the other stuff I wish would go by the wayside, but if he's getting things done now, as we said in our stock up, stock down, I think everyone's like, hey, we'll take it now. Hopefully it lasts. That's kind of the feeling. I'm happy to wear the UMA hat. I'm happy to be talking about a win, but I don't think that this is a fan base right now that's willing to be like, all right, we're fixed. We're in the clear. We are not even close to out of the woods. But let's talk about one player that it did feel good for him to get back in the scoring column, particularly with a goal, and that is one Brandon Montour. We'll get into that and so much more on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our good friends at GameTime. Attending NFL playoff games is an unforgettable experience that brings fans together. And we know the Super Bowl is right around the corner. So, hey, if you want to find tickets at a good price, especially if you're looking to go to big games, then you want to look on GameTime. And GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I've used GameTime to buy Mariners tickets. I've used GameTime to buy tickets to one of my favorite bands, Little Dragon, when they were in Seattle and I was covering the Seattle Kraken. So it's really great. The GameTime Picks helps you find tickets. Again, super deals, impressive offerings on ticket price. You can see the view from your seat. I like the all-in pricing feature that helps you stay on budget. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download that GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms will apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKED and redeem code sometimes I have trouble spelling. And redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks as always for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. Erica L. Ayala here. And if you're meeting for the first time, no, I don't always wear a Pirates hat when I'm recording a Seattle Kraken podcast. I only wear a Pirates hat when the Seattle Kraken have won. Like in the case of last night, where the Seattle Kraken took care of the San Jose Sharks in a 6-2 win. The Seattle Kraken did get that first goal coming from Chandler Stephenson, assisted by Bjorkstrand and Tolvanen. That line had a pretty productive night. Bjorkstrand also had a goal. Tolvanen also had a goal. So pretty big stuff there. Brandon Montour, though, had 2 goals. One goal came in the second period right after Ollie's goal, assisted by Shane Wright to make it 3-1 Seattle. And then Brandon Montour on the power play, which we've talked about the power play in the comments, talking about the power play on the show, looking a little stagnant at times. I thought they were moving well and literally moving, not just passing the puck, but guys moving, occupying empty space. Brandon Montour gets a power play goal there, assisted by Jared McCann and Chandler Stephenson. And Ellie Tolvanen got the 6th and final goal for the Seattle Kraken and assisted by Josh Mahura. Overall, pretty good win here for your Seattle Kraken. The Kraken have now gone 4 straight games without allowing a power play goal against and have scored a power play goal in 4 of their last 6 games. The San Jose Sharks had 2 power play opportunities. The penalty kill for the Seattle Kraken, a perfect 2 for 2. Shot quality, 0.5 for the Seattle Kraken on the power play to 0.3 comparative. 11 shot attempts, though, on the power play for San Jose compared to 2 shot attempts, both shots on goal, whereas 11 shots, only 4 shots on goal for the San Jose Sharks. So on the one hand, not a high quality for the Sharks, but not a high volume for the Seattle Kraken when it comes to the power play. Now, you know, I am always looking at the puck battle when the Seattle Kraken did not win the puck battle percentage, 47% to 53%. I mean, again, I never want to see that 80+% for the opposition again. So we don't see that, but I still want to see that be a little bit more of the Seattle Kraken's game. But puck battle win is not the only way, as I mentioned in the first segment, that the Seattle Kraken have been focused on that physicality. I believe it was Ellie Tolvanen, who also talked about forechecking and how forechecking is so important to what the Seattle Kraken want to do. Because again, we heard from the beginning that Dan Bylsma, he wants to play a fast game. The Seattle Kraken, for a lot of different reasons, I think, have gotten away from that ethos, if you will. And I really think when they remember that's how they're supposed to play, they actually kind of play pretty well. So here's hoping that they get back to it. But let's hear from Brandon Montour. First goal since December, I believe on the radio, Al and Everett were saying in about 20 games. But Montour himself, even though he couldn't exactly remember, pretty much corroborates and confirms that. Here's what Brandon Montour said post-game.
Monty, how does it feel that if Vince says it must feel good to get a couple?
Goals, yeah. I mean, anytime you could score some goals and see them going, it's nice. You know, it's been little cold the last, I don't even know, 15, 20 games, but you keep creating. You know, you get in cold spells. You try to find ways to, you know, other ways to, you know, help the team. And I like where my game's at, and it's just nice to kind of get hopefully a couple more keep coming.
Once you guys scored there in the second period, you start to feel a little momentum building and just kind of ride that wave, or what happened there in the second?
Yeah, no, I think we kept the energy going. Big plays and times when we needed, and like I said, you know, the physicality was good. Obviously, Dunsky with a scrap to kind of keep going and protect each other, which is obviously huge and what we need, you know, to be good moving forward. But you know, big plays and big moments, and you know, we get that win and keep going.
On the 5-on-3 where you scored, nice passing play there with McCann and Stephenson. Can you kind of talk through what happened on that play?
Yeah, obviously it starts with a face-off win, making plays, getting, you know, shooters in the right spots, and then obviously 5-on-3, you spread them out, and you know, good plays by everyone.
Brandon, in the first period, you get tangled up with Jamie Alexiak, and then the puck goes in off Shane Wright's skate. And are you thinking for a moment, here we go again, where's the puck luck?
No, just a bad break. I think we, you know, turned around pretty quick. Again, those are just kind of silly plays that, you know, happen in games off skates, off sticks. I think it went off the ref too in the corner to start it all, but again, guys battled back and, you know, kept going.
Yeah, that sequence, you guys don't score in the last 2 minutes, but you are controlling the puck, and then you come and score those, whatever number it was, pretty quickly in the second. And 4 goals in 8 minutes.
Yeah, quick. Again, I think we just kept shift by shift. Get 1, you get 2, you get 3, you get 4. It's, you know, big plays one after another, and when you do that, it's, you know, a dangerous hockey club, and it obviously keeps the other team on their toes and, you know, kind of puts them down. So it's good energy. We just got to keep that going.
You were paired up with Jamie again tonight. What did you think of his game defensively?
Yeah, solid. Obviously, defensively solid, but I don't know how many times he was in the O-zone making plays, getting some good looks. Could have had a few tonight as well, but again, you know, he keeps those, you know, hidden, but when needed, he's got obviously the skill for a big boy. So obviously a heck of a game for him.
Brandon, the big fracas in the second period kind of happened, started with you and
Yeah.
Colin. What was kind of your take on how that all shook out there?
I think he just came in with a poke check late. I didn't like it. We kind of got tangled up there. Not really much going on there, but then everyone kind of protected each other, which was obviously huge for our group. We need more of that, just to kind of protect each other, be physical. I think we got that in our game that I think we need to get out a little bit more, but it was nice to kind of have everyone in there and, you know, helping each other out.
Hey, you know me, I'm here for more sandpaper, and there definitely was some of that in this game. I would like to see it not just be, though, the fights or, you know, the little chirps here and there, a little bit more on the board battles, 50-50 pucks, you know, things like that, just the more consistent things with continuity. So that's just me, but you know, I'm always going to be critical of that. I want to see this Kraken game learn how to play with that aggression without having to take it all the way. You should have kind of an equalizer that's just in you to go get these games. But the fact that the team is talking about that they need to incorporate that a little bit more, I'm here for it. So, you know, another thing there is that Monty talking about how, you know, got what was it, a handful of goals in a short period of time. That's huge for the Seattle Kraken team. This is a team that can score multiple goals, and since they scored 5 goals, at least 5, 6 total, you've got the Alaska Airlines getaway 32% off. I think it's Puerto Vallarta, I believe, in Mexico. So very cool there. But anyway, this Seattle Kraken team, I love that I'm putting on the UMA hat. I said it before. And we have to see more from this team. We still don't know the full identity of this team. We don't know what consistency looks like for this team. And that's what they have to figure out. Coming up, we're going to give you the upcoming schedule. I know I went over it a little bit yesterday, but got not 1, but 2 shots at Calgary. And I think those are going to be huge. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Kraken. And the Seattle Kraken get a big win, but now can they get some more? 2 out of 3 is what we want. will take more, and they really need more than just that, especially after dropping 2 consecutive. And the next game is against Calgary. That will be at Climate Pledge Arena on Sunday, February 2nd. And we took care of business against Calgary earlier in the season in October, but have not seen them since. But including Sunday's game, we play them another 3 times this season, including, as I've mentioned on the show earlier in the week, before the Four Nations / All-Star break. And I say All-Star break just because that's usually the All-Star break, but it will be the Four Nations tournament this year. The Calgary Flames 900 save percentage, but like I told you, Joey Decord is better. I gave you that graphic. Actually, might still have it in the queue. Joey Dax here took care of the Sharks, but he's got, and again, these were numbers based on the other day when I recorded. So still, though, Joey Decord, as of right now, has better numbers even than the collective of Wolf and Vladar here. So that's something that the Seattle Kraken are going to rely on. We know Joey Decord is huge for the Seattle Kraken in these upcoming games. And so we pretty much know what we're going to get between the pipes. Everything else, though, how it plays out. When will we see Riker Evans come back, if at all? Maybe getting him a little rest isn't the end of the world, but again, he's day to day. I hope to have an episode for Saturday and or Sunday. We'll see, just depending on a few things I have going on, but I want to hear from, and I will be at minimum keeping up with what Dan Bosma is saying regarding Riker Evans, because I do think he's a pretty big piece to this Seattle Kraken puzzle in the long term. And the Calgary Flames, when it comes to what we are seeing in the standings, I broke it down a little bit here, but I want to go back to it when it comes to the wild card. Now, right now in the Western Conference, the Calgary Flames are sitting in that wild card spot right behind the Colorado Avalanche. Those two are above the line, so to speak. Below that line, Vancouver, Utah, St. Louis, and then the Seattle Kraken. We will be taking on, in this coming month, we'll be taking on St. Louis. So that's another team we have to see if we can beat in the month of February. But Calgary, we get 2 bites at the apple here and an opportunity to start climbing these standings. St. Louis at 50 points. Utah Hockey Club at 50 points. We're sitting at 49. So if we can leapfrog here, get some wins, get some points on the board, then maybe there's a way to salvage this season. It is a long shot given how the Seattle Kraken have played, but it is still in the mix once this Seattle Kraken team can get to 50 points and then keep that momentum and keep building on points, because right now they're only a handful of points, but if they can leapfrog Utah and St. Louis, then they do have to catch up with Vancouver and Calgary. But again, have 2 chances in the next 7 days or so to be able to gain some ground, not just in the standings overall, but specifically be able to hold off Calgary from getting points in 2 games. And so this is critical. As much as I do think the Seattle Kraken are really not in a position where they can game plan or strategize very acutely for a specific team, they have to focus on how to beat Calgary. That's what I want this team to focus on. What are the things that Calgary is doing well? How can they mitigate that? What is in their toolkit, and how can they execute to near perfection? Because getting these points against Calgary in the next 2 games, they play them again on Sunday. They play them Sunday, I mentioned it, and then are in Calgary by the end of next week. So this is critical. And I really want us to focus again on what Calgary is doing well, how we can mitigate that. That's why I'm saying I'll probably have a show for you, if not before the first Calgary game, definitely after the Calgary game, so we can break this game down, because I want to know how the Seattle Kraken can be positive when it comes to, if not that first game, although we need these freaking points. All right, boys, get this freaking win for us. We need the win, but I want to have the full game plan ready to go by the time we take them on at the end of next week. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Kraken. Happy to wear the Uma hat, bring the pirate tradition back. I mean, that WWE belt, I mean, whatever. Pirate hat's so much cooler. Mine is not as cool as Jerry Bruckheimer's hat, but he's got a lot more money and a lot more resources. So I'm doing the best I can with what I got. And that's what we need from the Seattle Kraken. All right. So good win. We'll take it. Glad to have Monty back with a goal. And what I also loved is Monty mentioned it, but also Vince Dunn mentioned it in his conversation. Hey, it's not that Monty was playing bad, not even close to that. We need Brandon Montour. It's nice to, as Vince Dunn said, though, to see him rewarded with a goal. So that'll do it again for this episode of Locked On Kraken. Enjoy your weekend. For those of you going to the game on Sunday, I hope you have a great time. Send all the good vibes so we can get a win. We need it all. Whether you've got your own version of a Pirates hat, whatever your superstition or whatever is, go whole hog on it, baby. We need these wins specifically against Calgary. But reminder to be kind to yourself. Be kind to others if you have the capacity. And hold fast, stay true and loud and proud. We say always, let's go Kraken. We'll also make sure to check in on Coachella Valley because we got to see how Philip Grubauer is doing. But I will catch you on the next episode. Peace out, everybody.